All right, JB with Going Wild here. Basic saddle stitching. There's lots of good places, including tandyleather.com. They have good videos about how to do this, but this is basic. I was trying to think the best way to teach, and so I cut some holes, extra large holes in a board here, so I can demonstrate instead of the leather. Okay, if you're going to start with about a wingspan of material, and that's just so you can pull it through with ease. I'm going to start with it, get it about halfway, using some bright colored cord here so you can see a little better, hopefully. Okay, you always want to start the second hole up and then back trace the first time. And it comes through, make sure you can see this here, it'll come through, then you'll take your I'll call it the right piece, and kind of stick it in front. And there's a way you cross your needles. I'm not using needles here. Poke it through. Okay. Then once you get that on the other side, you're going to take the cord and cross over and then pull through. Okay, so I back traced. Now I'm going to go forward. Make sure I've got the holes big enough. My left, and this is for right-handed people. You start with the left, I guess. Cross your needles, kind of coming in front. And I guess the needle cross is just so you don't get them mixed up. But the worst case scenario, if you get them mixed up, I'll just kind of hold it back like that usually, is it'll just come out. Got a little gob there. Let me take that gob off so it fits better, just where I melted the end there. So I made the holes a little larger, I reckon. And so that's the back stitch. You want to do that first and last. Okay. I'm having trouble getting it through there, so I'll just teach forward. But that helps hold it, secure it in place. But I'll honestly go to my back side and tie a square knot. I'll show you when I get through. Go through, pull it out of the way. Go through with your right side. Cross over. And you'll see it kind of makes like a overhand knot every time. Go through. Do the needle cross, pull that back. And one of the things you want to make sure when you stick the needle through the hole here, you don't want to make sure you don't pierce the thread. And so it's a good practice. If I can get this through. Once you get it through, take your thread and make sure the needle's not poking it, because that'll kind of shred the thread there. Another thing about threading a needle, with the stitching needles, you can get them at, I think I got some at my Hobby Lobby for 99 cents for 10. And the way you thread a needle, it goes through the eye, and then you take a few inches to the side, and you're supposed to pierce it, and then pierce it again, and pull that through, and it locks it in place. I always have trouble with that, so I just pull a lot through, and I just kind of hold it. Does the same thing. Might not be the way you're supposed to do it, but it works for me. And I do this sitting in front of the TV a lot. Okay, got my left, go through the hole. Got my right, kind of come in front of it. I'll pull that back out of the way. And the number one thing is take your time. There's no rush. Once you get it through, I'll lock that in place. And it creates like an overhand knot. Left, do the needle cross, pull that back. I like to pull it back a little more than the needle cross. Use the same size drill bit, but it's having trouble getting through every time. Maybe I should have improvised a large needle. All right. Cross over, that way you're coming through. And I guess the overhand knot kind of goes inside the material. It kind of crosses a little bit, and that locks it in place pretty good. You can see here. Cross through, pull it back out of the way, go in front. And here I'm gonna make sure I didn't pierce it. Go through the middle and lock it. Left, pull it back, right, and you kind of get the gist of it here. You don't need a vise. You can get what they call a saddle pony, or a pony stitching pony rather, and it kind of works like a vise. I use a vise. Seems to work fine. A lot of times I'll just use my lap, hold it with my knees, and I want to make sure I come through the center, and it kind of creates an overhand. Sort of. These holes aren't that straight, but that's okay. And of course, the number priority is make sure your holes are good, because we have 3 layers of material. We have the sheath material and the welt. So make sure the holes line up. I had to go through and use an awl just to pierce through and make sure the holes were nice and open, because they do close up after a while because of the leather. Once again, you see here, I'm kind of going through and pulling. And you kind of see that overhand slip into place there. Left, right, go over, it puts it going through the hole, and pull through. Over, pull back out of the way so you don't pierce it with a needle. My invisible needle here. Got my right going through, go through the hole. You can see it kind of go through there and pull. And that's the best way I can think of to explain it. It's not hard, it just takes a little time. Once you get used to it, you can kind of cover some ground with it. Okay, we'll say we're at our end. Okay. And now what I'll do is, I'll say this is my front side, this is my back side where my loop is, my belt loop. I'll kind of come back through and do a, it's hard to get it through, but you kind of come back through and it works out kind of like this. You kind of come back through there and it's a back stitch, but I'm having trouble getting it through. Let's see if I can get one more try there. Didn't make my holes large enough, I reckon, for my comeback through. So I'm just going to pull it out just to show. So when you back stitch it, it's supposed to help hold it in place, secure it. But I always end with a square knot. I'll take left over right, then my right, which was left, over the opposite, and I'll just do that and I'll snip it. And you won't be able to see that it's on the back side with the loop. And with the thread, it's very small. All right, that is saddle stitching. After that, we want to soak it. You'll take and soak the sheath in water. I did it for about 3 or 4 hours and get it nice and soft. Then I'll wrap the knife blade in some saran wrap, just kind of so the water doesn't get inside. Then I'll put the knife inside the sheath and then mold it. Once it was wet, I'll get down here. Once it was wet, I kind of use a slicker here. You can use any kind of wooden dowel or just round it in. And I just kind of went around the knife blade here. And once you get it molded good, it'll hold that mold using veg tan leather. Very important. Use the veg tan leather. And you can see the stitching, how they came out right there. Not perfect, but it's good enough. Here's the back side, and you can see, you can't really see the knots at all. Here's the belt loop. Here, I decided to go ahead and add the metal match holder there, and I'll take a rubber band and loop it over. You can see the knife kind of fits in and out, and you can see how it kind of holds that shape. And once again, veg tan leather is very important for that. You can see it better right there. And then I just put it in some place for about a day or two and just let it dry. And that, I put some holes down at the bottom for a leg tie. Some people like that. And the one I got the idea from, it looks very similar. Okay, so knife sheath, basic knife sheath. This is JB with Going Wild. Once again, remember to subscribe and push like. Thank you very much.